Hey, 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 Mom Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Her Inner Circle. Hello, Darian.
Hey, Katie. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Welcome, welcome. It's always such a pleasure to have you here talking about girlfriends. I know that this is such a huge topic for you. And over at the Zen Den, this is something you guys focus on. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Tell me,
Connection, community, all of the things.
right? Like, can you, and I don't know, like, this could be a whole show in and of itself. But can you just like briefly explain what is important about that, especially for women?
Connection and community, especially for women. I feel like the biggest place where we structure or we struggle is loneliness.
Yeah.
Not feeling understood, not feeling seen or heard, and thinking we're completely alone. So, the connection and community piece of what we've developed at the Zen Den has been probably my favorite thing that we've done. So, just bringing women together in different aspects, whether it's in person or online. We've done a lot of different things, whether it's in the studio, outside of the studio, different types of events, crafts, or women's circles where we just really genuinely hang out and talk. It's an opportunity just to get to know each other and help us feel less alone. Not only that, but a comment that was made recently is it really does put your challenges that you might be dealing with in your life into perspective. So,
Mm.
loneliness, isolation, leads to a lot of negative things. So that's what we're combating, and we're just doing it one circle at a time.
I love it. Tell me this. Do you naturally see in the ladies that, come frequently or have come many times, do you naturally see an increase in self-confidence?
I think so. I mean, I think just giving us the platform of being able to say what's on our minds truly, right? So what we always say, what's said in the circle stays in the circle. So it's your opportunity to genuinely take the mask off and say what you want to say. And that is so unique and so rare. So when we're able to do that, you're automatically going to feel a little bit more confident. You got it off your chest, you said it. Um, and yeah, we've definitely noticed an increase in confidence. I know I feel more confident after each circle, feeling better in my body, especially because a lot of times people show up and they're so nervous, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's their first time, and just being able, they celebrate themselves like, I did this, I showed up. That's a huge thing. That's like, talk about confidence. You're going to need that to be able to walk into the room. It's a very welcoming, open, loving space, but just to be able to get out of your house, put on pants, and walk into the room is going to build confidence.
I feel like just in so Mom Nation's been around for 11 years now.
Wow.
Crazy, I know. And so I kind of get this bird's eye view of it's a lot of our local ladies, whatever, but it's kind of like a microcosm. And I've noticed over the years that women especially, or maybe we're just not as good at hiding it, I don't know, as men are, but I've noticed a lack of self-confidence quite a bit. Like, I feel like a lot of us have that little hoop to jump or that little obstacle to get over in terms of self-confidence.
The common theme that we see and we discuss is, I feel like I'm not enough in X. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm not enough as a parent, as a wife, as an employee, as an employer, as a boss, as a business owner. That seems to be the common theme, is not feeling like we're enough in one aspect, if not all aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I feel like a lot of it comes from childhood, truthfully,
Yeah.
and then just carries on through our lives. I also, we've talked about this before, still think a lot of it has to do with, hiding behind our computers, hiding behind our keyboards, our phones, and not being out in front of people and having those actual real life interactions and conversations.
I completely agree. And I think that that brings us to our topic for today,
Mhm.
because I think that all of those things combined, what we've been seeing over the last, gosh, I feel like the pandemic really did a number on us, right? Is this ghosting. what is going on, like with girlfriends ghosting girlfriends because something might have happened, or just people in relationship not fully communicating with one another. Have you been seeing that happen in your world, on your end? Are you seeing that too? Yeah.
So I feel like as far as um the relationships that are formed, women's circles, things like that, not so much there, but it's been
Mm-hmm.
a lot, but I hear about it a lot. So
Yeah.
I hear about it from women who will be like, "Oh yeah, somebody created this online event and nobody showed up." Or, it was supposed to be a bunch of girls were supposed to show up that RSVP'd and said yes and then didn't come.
Mm.
Which is just like heartbreaking if you're the one who's putting the event together, or you are really looking forward to meeting some new friends. That can be, devastating. So that could probably hurt some confidence too. I showed up for this thing, I got ghosted, or I was supposed to meet this girl for coffee and she ghosted, or there's a lot of different instances where it's happening, and or just like taking a long time to respond to a text, or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I feel like are because we can communicate in different ways as opposed to just picking up the phone and talking to somebody. I feel like it makes it easier to ghost, unfortunately.
I totally agree with you. And back in the day, and we can say this because, we're part of the older crowd of Mom Nation, we had to call people, right? Like, otherwise, how would you communicate with them? You had to call them, or you had to see them in person, or you had to knock at their door. Like, a little bit later, probably when we were in high school, right? Like, pagers came out. Okay. But there was no like real texting capabilities on those. It was mostly like call me kind of things. So we had a lot of opportunity to have that voice to voice, face to face communication. And now with the texting and the emailing and the DMing and all of that, I totally agree with you. It's kind of a way that you can almost hide behind that, instead of actually, taking that step forward and making the call and having that real connection. And back to what you were saying about the, hey, I created an event and 5 or 6 ladies RSVP'd and nobody showed up. Nobody called me to let me know. Nobody, shared with me, hey, like I had an emergency with my kiddo, or like what happened to me last night. My dog ate something weird and he got super sick and I had to rush him to the emergency room. Like, I'm really sorry. Um, what when we ghost and we don't communicate, even if something like that is very normal, like life happens, what does that say about us to the other person? Like, what, we can't control what people think, so I don't want to like make it sound like that's what I mean, but what potentially could that other person be thinking and feeling, because there is an element of unknown there. Have you had conversations with women that this has happened to, and what have they said, for example?
And I can tell you from my personal experience, I do a lot of events,
Yeah.
tons of events all the time, every month, multiple a week. So whether it's a class, a circle, we have an event tonight, whatever the case may be, I can tell you from experience when I first got started doing this that I would take it personally. Like, what did I do wrong? Right?
Yeah.
You immediately turn it around like it's somehow my fault that nobody's showing up, or maybe they don't like me, or I'm not worth a phone call or a text or a message to tell me that they're not going to make it, right? So I've had to do a lot of work myself to remind myself that it's not personal. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with me as a human. It has nothing to do with my worth, or who I am as a person. So I feel like, I don't think people will actually admit that, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, that that's the feeling that they get when somebody ghosts them, if they take it
Mm-hmm.
as a personal attack.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in my heart that that's probably what they're feeling. Or it could also be anger,
Yeah.
how rude, disrespectful, especially, you mentioned you and I come from the old school where like I show up. And if I
Right.
don't, you're going to get a call. I'm going to be early. If I'm not early, I'm late. You know what I mean? That's just kind
Hmm.
of the mindset that I think you and I both have as far as commitments, showing up, being on time. Things just aren't that way anymore. It's kind of like this cancel culture
Yeah.
that people are okay with just ghosting, not showing up. So the thing we have to remember is that it's not about us.
Right. And I think as you mentioned, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I feel like that can be difficult to get around, especially if you are struggling with self-confidence, especially if you are struggling with some mental health issues or emotional health issues like many of us are. And as the ghoster, like take a step back. Do you really want to be remembered like that? Do you really want to have caused somebody extra grief in their life when or cause them to beat themselves up when you could have just said, hey man, my dog got sick, or so sorry, like some came up with my kid. I really wanted to be there with you, but unfortunately life got in the way. Do you want to be remembered as being a rude person or somebody that doesn't value somebody else? I don't.
I definitely don't. And because I've been on the other end of that and I know how that feels, I make it a point to make sure that I never make anybody feel that way if I can avoid
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And I think the real, again, we can't control people's filters, we can't control their thoughts and feelings. But I think what we can control is how we communicate and how often we communicate and, and what we communicate, right? Darian, maybe, and this is absolutely not true, but just throwing this out there, like maybe I really don't think you and I connect. And so I was going to go to your event, but you know what? I'm not feeling you. And so I'm just not going to go. Man, like that's okay. Not everybody loves everybody, but don't you owe it to that person to just be like, hey, this is a tough conversation. I just don't think we vibe. Thank you for doing your thing. Thank you for doing you. But like, I'm probably not going to come back kind of thing, or I'm probably not going to proceed to another event kind of thing. Like, that's okay too, right?
I wish somebody would just say that. I mean, genuinely, like again, like I've worked with a lot of different people and built a lot of relationships, in the last couple of years of being a business owner, and like things are going great. They're coming regularly. We're having really good cadence. And then all of a sudden they just disappear and I never hear from them again. And it's wild because I'm like, I consider this person a friend.
Hmm.
Yes, they are a client. Yes, we participate in business together, but we also, spent some personal time together. So I wish somebody would just be like, you know what? I'm moving on. I'm
Yeah.
done with this, or I don't maybe I just this isn't worth an investment anymore, or maybe they're over me or whatever we're doing, but I wish somebody would just say that, truly.
I completely agree with you. And just speaking from the business standpoint, so I'm a real estate agent here in the Phoenix area. I know you're a yoga instructor here in the Phoenix area. We get calls, we, respond to messages, things like that. Oftentimes, because it's just the person I am, I'll give a lot of value and a lot of time to these people who contact me, right? Like I care. And sometimes it hasn't worked out for whatever reason. And like you said, I never hear from them again. And it's like, wow, either I take that personally, right? That's a route that I could go, or I'm thinking, man, you're rude. Like how, are you so entitled you don't value somebody else's hard work and their time? Like all that I gave to you, I didn't get paid for that. So like you're welcome, you know? Um, and it's okay. I'm not everyone's favorite. I get that. It's okay if we don't vibe, but where can we find the guts to say that to somebody and let them know? Close that loop so that that loop isn't open, so that the last vision that they have of you, the last impression that they have of you isn't negative. Like, I just feel like no one wants to be thought of in a negative way. So why are we doing things that could cause that? Does that make
It's so
sense?
true. Absolutely. I mean, I take calls, they're almost like crisis calls sometimes. People that are
Yeah.
so stressed, or yeah, they're having anxiety attacks or panic or depressed, or my doctor says I should start doing yoga, conversations where they call me and they're borderline counseling sessions. That's what they really feel like.
Hmm.
They're coaching sessions. I mean, I'll talk to people for 30 minutes and about what's going on with them and how I think that we could help, recommend some coaching or yoga or meditation or whatever the case may be, and then, to your point, they'll just disappear. So I recently did have somebody who circled back and she was just like, "Hey, I just want to tell you that I appreciate our conversation, but it just your schedule doesn't work for mine." And I was grateful
Fair
that
enough.
yes. I mean, I hadn't even contacted her, nothing. She just circled back with me a month after our last conversation and just said, "Hey, I really want to get in there, but your schedule just doesn't match up with mine." And I was just like, "Thank you. Thank you for letting
Yeah.
me know."
I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, I've been in business for 2 decades, Darian, and there are times or have been times in the past where I have given somebody my all and they have decided to go another route and work with another service provider. And that's totally okay. Sometimes the whatever reason it is, like the vibe or whatever it is, like that's okay. Everybody has their reasons. And I have so much respect and love for the ones that have come back and have said to me, you know what, you were a great connection, appreciate the value, appreciate the time that you spent. We're going to go this route because of XYZ, or don't even tell me why if you don't want to. I don't know. But at least tell me. At least don't make me sit there and guess and wonder what the heck ever happened to you after I spent half my day helping you, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've had situations where people have wanted to come see the space because they wanted to rent and things like that. And either they don't show up or they'll message me 15 minutes after they're supposed to be there, or, and those things used to really bother me. I mean, they would really get me down because
I
our time is valuable.
very, because here's like, I don't know if it's like this for you, but here's how I look at it. If I'm spending time with you, I'm not spending time with two other things, other clients or
For my
my
family.
family,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
I think we need to think about that more often and think about the other person more often in that respect and be like, okay, they took time out of their lives, whatever's going on in their life, is theirs, but they took time out of their life to spend with me. The least I can do is communicate politely.
Absolutely. I mean, and here's the other piece that I don't think a lot of people know is that I also work full time in addition to running the studio. So if I'm, agreeing to meet with you or we're setting something up, like, I work 40 hours in addition to meeting you at the studio so you can come view the space, or taking a private client or a private coaching session. That's all done on my time after hours. So
Mhm.
it's not like I'm just hanging out at the studio waiting for people to come by. I'm genuinely setting time aside. So it takes time, it takes effort. I'm, to your point, away from my family if I'm setting time aside for somebody else.
Yeah, and that's like the worst. And then, mom guilt comes in and all
Oh,
that.
that's it.
Oh
That's
gosh.
that's a whole other episode.
Truly, truly, girlfriend. It really is. So let me ask you this. In your experience with the circles that you've been holding, which are so cool, do you have any suggestions or maybe some examples of, somebody that struggled with finding the self-confidence to communicate in the past? Like, do you have any examples of maybe what they did or what somebody out there could do to find that confidence in order to have that tough conversation? Because maybe it is a tough conversation, like, hey, thanks, but no thanks.
So that's a really good question, and we have had instances where we've had people share that they need to have a tough conversation, and it's really about talking to people that you trust, or talking to people that you know are going to have your back and say, yeah, you should have that conversation. Maybe, if they want a suggestion, because we often don't offer suggestions.
Hmm.
It's a space where you can say what you want. If you want a suggestion, you can ask for it. Otherwise, we're pretty much there to listen. So we've
Hmm.
had situations where people have asked for suggestions and we'll offer them, this is what I would say, or this is how I would handle it. Um, even if it is a text, even if you don't want to pick up the phone and say,
Hmm.
hey, listen, we didn't vibe. I'm not coming tonight. Even if it's a text of, I just don't feel like it. Because
Yeah.
that's a lot of the times the case for me is I just don't feel like it. I felt like it 2 months ago when I signed up for this thing, but it's been a heck of a week. I'm
Hmm.
exhausted. I just wanna go home. I just don't feel like it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So, I feel like even just having the guts to say something like that, but just ask a trusted friend,
Hmm.
ask ChatGPT,
I
which
was
is
just
something
gonna
that
say that.
it's something I encourage people on my team to do often. I'm just like, "You're not sure how to say this, or you have some passion behind this,
Hmm.
ask ChatGPT
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
put it in a way that's not going to hurt feelings, or I mean, again, to your point, you can't project how they're gonna feel about it, but in a way that's gonna let you feel good about, um, having that tough conversation, because I
Hmm.
feel like that's, other than public speaking, that's probably one of the biggest fears that humans encounter is conflict.
Completely agree. I
Nobody
completely agree.
nobody wants the conflict, nobody wants to deal with it, nobody wants to be the one that hurts anybody's feelings, but what about your feelings too? So on
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it, right? So if you, again, coming back to my example, is I will sign up for things and then be exhausted and not want to go. So I'll just say, I'm not coming because I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah. And fair. I mean, fair enough. Like, what are we gonna do about that? That is what it is. I love your suggestion about popping it into Chat GPT. I think that's great because oftentimes maybe there's some struggle with knowing what words to say to convey what's really on your heart. And sometimes when we're feeling stressed, we don't really have access to all of our resources all of the time, right? Like if we're in fight or flight, we might not be, those words might not be forming appropriately for us. Or like you said, if we have a little bit of passion or something behind these words, they may not come out in a way that is absorbed by the other person in the way that we wish for them to be, right? So popping it into chat gp like gtp, honestly, like I have done this before. I'll just be real. Hey, here's what I really want to say, make it sound nice.
Yeah. Make it land a little bit softer than it's coming off.
Right.
And especially for you and I that are very direct.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be abrupt. I just need to say this and so we can move on.
Exactly.
Right? And
Exactly.
ChatGPT definitely comes in handy for that. Work emails, text messages that I'm not quite exactly sure how to say it. Uh, yeah,
Totally
very
agree.
valuable.
Great resource, absolutely. I mean, there's even AI programs out there that'll handle the whole thing for you. They'll text and have a whole conversation, so there's that.
Yeah,
But I definitely think you're worth it to have the conversation and to communicate appropriately, and the other person is worth it too, whether that be somebody you just met or somebody that you've been in relationship for decades. Like, where both sides are worth it is the bottom line, how I feel.
I totally agree. I mean, and I and on the other, just I'll just segue a little bit here, is I have a lot of single friends that are dealing in the dating scene, and I'm watching
Mm.
them dealing with this ghosting situation. And it just kills me. I was at the gym yesterday and I heard this girl just going off to her friend about he didn't text me back and this and that. And like I said, I have single friends that tell me the same thing out in the dating world, and it's just like, why are we doing this to each other?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, close that loop. Answer that question that they're going to have now forever and ever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just end it.
It's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. I love it. I
Mhm.
love this conversation. I love that we are bringing these types of conversations to the table. I love the support that we are offering for girlfriends out there. Like Darian and I are going to change this whole girlfriend landscape. That's the goal.
Yes.
We are going to normalize being in a relationship with other females again.
Yes. And if you don't want to be, to say so.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I know our audience loves it too. And guys, if you want to check out, I know we just started this pod. I know we're only a couple of episodes in, but if you want to check out any previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Mom Nation USA. Scroll down just a little ways to the bright green playlist for Her Inner Circle. There you will find us. There's a couple of little clips in there too right now, just to, beef it up a bit because we have just started. So if you want to check those out, hop on over to YouTube. If you prefer to listen podcast style on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you will find us. Like, download, click the notification bell, all the things. You will never miss an episode, and we will see you next month. Thanks, Darian.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye.
What if you could hit pause? Connect? Heal? Welcome to the Zen Den of Gilbert, your wellness sanctuary. At the Zen Den, the heart of the community begins with its founder. Meet Darian Marie Pruitt, a certified yoga instructor and passionate advocate for holistic well-being. From gentle yoga and breathwork to women's circles and healing workshops, plus expert massage and aesthetic care. At the Zen Den, community, mindfulness, and holistic self-care meet. Experience the Zen Den at 3651 East Baseline Road in Gilbert, a place to connect, heal, and shine.